Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. Okay, today's video is about the Roxy Journal of Stitchery. My journal is full. I tend to embellish my pieces quite a lot, so what I thought would hold more hasn't. So I'm pretty much at the point of making a new journal. So I'm going to follow a similar style to this one in the way of construction. So 4 pieces together on the calico has become a signature, and then this is signature number 2, but that's all I can fit. And that spine, I think from memory, was about, let me measure that, about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to do another one near identical, as in the cover. It's an old recipe book, this one, and I have 3 of the same recipe books, so I'll be able to make another 2 journals at least. So similar style of construction, and I am going to keep in the color wave that I've done on this cover. So the next journal I'm going to pick up on that blue, and the piece to sit on the front will have that blue tone about it. And then the next journal will be another color within it, maybe the pink or maybe more neutral. I'm just not sure. So I definitely know that journal number 2 will be the duck egg blue. Okay, so I'll just pop that to one side. That's our first one in the series completed. So I have covered my 2 pieces of the cookbook with some hemp that I got from Rachel. And that is just ready now for the slow stitch piece that's going to sit on top of it. So both are done. I have a little bit spare to create some tabs, which will be used to link the 2 covers together. There'll be 3 tabs added, but I do have another little idea for a spine, so I'll won't cut those tabs out yet until I see how this piece is going to come together. Now, my piece is inspired by this pillow slip that I picked up at a op shop. It is the brand Sheridan, and I got 2 of them. So in my head, they were going to be a series of journals, but I'm actually going to donate one to this particular project. And I've cut it up into strips because I just love the color. And there's a couple different fabrics within it. There's the stripe, which is just the cotton that is on the reverse side of the pillow slip. Then this quilted look, and then this damask look as well, which is quite a substantial weighted fabric. So I'm going to cut it up into strips and going to use these strips to create a weave, which will be the background to my panel, and then I'll embellish from there. As for the embellishing, this is my book which has inspired me. I've never done crazy patchwork. I've seen it, it was huge many years back, and it's starting to make a bit of a resurgence because it's a slow stitch form as well. So I'm going to use this book, which has so many ideas and stitches and lovely things in it to sort of draw from for inspiration. Plus, by using a weave, I don't need much in the way to fill a little space. So many of these little stitches can be applied. Look at the glare, sorry about that guys. So many of these little stitches can be applied to a weave. So I'm hoping I can sort of nitpick my favorite bits out of this. Like, look at the lace where they've put the ribbon through the lace. So yeah, this is my inspiration. This is my color palette, and this is going to be book number 2 in my Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and it'll be the birds that we're doing for May will be the first pieces into this one. So I'll just show you what I've figured out so far. So I've pretty much grabbed the pillow slip, broken it down into some big pieces, then I've cut strips off of different widths. So some of the widths are about 1 inch, maybe a little bit more, some of them are just over 1/2 inch, and I've done the basic weave over and under, over and under, over and under across the whole space. Underneath there is my little piece of calico that is the right size for my journal cover. So that's my base to help support it. and I've done the weave, and now I've started picking up pieces of interest that I'd like to weave in amongst my stitching. So at the moment I've put this piece of lace through here. I've then cut 2 pieces from it and thought that maybe they could be a little feature somewhere. I have this little strip of daisy lace, so I'm thinking just a little line of those through. This lace here has come through that burlappy damask neutral sort of tone, and I have this really old piece of tatting, so I'm thinking of highlighting some tatting through as well. And then at the side here I've put this beautiful big piece of lace as well. Now in previous videos I've got a series on scrappy butterflies and rabbits and flowers and hearts. This guy is one of the dragonflies. So being that he picks up on that little bit of pink that is in the previous cover and brings pearls into my project, so pearls stitched through here would just be beautiful. I have a little selection of pearls left from when my grandmother made my wedding dress, and I haven't used them on anything, and I'm wondering if this piece might be a really lovely way of getting them all stitched down to something so that I can sort of look at them, because they're in these little bags in the cupboard. So I'm thinking of using some of the pearls from my wedding dress, which these are. So I've got my pop of pink, but not crazy. It's basically blue, bringing in the neutrals as I did on the previous cover. And I'm thinking my dragonfly will sit probably up here on the corner. Now I had an idea with the hinge or the spine of the journal. This is what was left when I trimmed off some of the fabric. And in my head, I was going to use it on this edge and make it part of the weaving, and that would give me a nice defined rope satin edge. But then as I sort of walked away from it and I went out and did some chores and I've come back, I'm wondering if I could put it here and it would finish this side of the piece. And then if I use the second pillow slip, which hasn't been cut yet, and I cut extra length on the one edge of it, like this edge, that could wrap around and become my hinge. So this is my crazy idea I've sort of had since I've walked away from it. So let's pretend that my embroidery piece is now in place and it's time to hinge it. So I'm thinking I can secure that onto there, and if that had a bit extra fabric, like 2 inches, plus enough to go around the back of the other cover, I could potentially maybe cut a 5-inch band, and then that would come around to meet, just bear with me, that would come around to meet the cover at the back. And then I'd have this as my spine, which I could also embroider and do some weaving on, or who knows. But I've got then an opportunity of having a 5-inch panel that could be embellished on the spine of the journal, just to make it a little bit different to the last one. So that's the thought at the moment, but I know I'm going to use this cordage somewhere, whether it be this scrap over here, or I get the second pillar slip and create a second piece, which is probably, I reckon I need to be at least 5 inches. I'll measure that once this is in position. That then will form the spine for the journal. I'm really tending towards that. The other thing I thought of, now I haven't put a tying mechanism on that last journal for a number of reasons. It's sitting really well, so I don't think it needs it. It's not like a gator mouth that's, you know, forcing itself open on everything. So I don't think it needs a tie. I haven't done a tie around the body of the journal like Sarah is doing, because I didn't want to cover Bunny. And I haven't done a decorative spine because I wanted to really try this tab spine that Rachel demonstrated earlier in the piece. So I ended up doing a spine embroidery panel like Rachel is doing and applying it to my other journal of stitchery, which is going to house all of my tags from the Anne Brooks project. So this spine technically would be another new idea, which I sort of like because I don't want to do all the same. So that's the spine piece inspired by Rachel that she's using on her journal, where I embroidered a piece and glued it and stitched it into position to create a panel on the spine, and incorporating one of my little tags that didn't fit into the book. Now in here, this weaving, I just wanted to digress for a moment. I've got in here a tag that we did the weaving in, and I'm pretty sure I used red work. See, I've got gaps in here for embroideries to come. So as I do some more slow stitch, and if they don't fit in my Roxy journal, I've got my Roxy Anne combination journal coming along as well, applying the same sort of principles that we're doing with the girls. Now, where is my red work one? There it is. This tag here was the weaving that we did with Anne on one of the weeks. So I loved how it came up. I loved how I'd inserted lace as start of a weaving process, and then the different fabrics. I do notice here that not everyone went over and under as organized as I've done on the blue. See, that one went over but 2 positions. Yeah, so a little bit more random, which is something to consider, and then stitched. So that's the inspiration for me. And then Rachel's doing that as part of her bird block for her May project. So she's got that little corner of her panel that is going to be woven. So that is why I thought, well, I'm going to do some weaving, and it's going to be the start of my cover for my second journal. Now, another thing I was going to mention is I've got this seam binding that I have an opportunity to make a tie for it, for something different, and I could weave it through as well with excess coming out the side that would form the tie. So that's something else I need to have a little think about, because I could weave that through as well. So I'm liking that idea. So okay, that's where I'm at. For anyone who has never done the weaving of the fabric, Rachel's video she posted for May, the background, she really zooms in and takes you through the over and unders and dripping the strips down, and then putting a little tacking stitch through the whole thing, which just sort of holds everything together. And then my guess is she'll do some slow stitch on top of that and then place her bird into position. So I'm not going to video what I've done here, because I think you can sort of see it anyway. But if you wanted to do weaving, start with Rachel's video. She shows you, she zooms in really well. It's brilliant. I'm then sort of the next stage where I'm starting to embellish my piece. A shame I didn't have a little bird, because that would have sort of all tied in nicely, but I don't. I've got this dragonfly, and pink has just sold me to sort of marry it into the rest of my journal series. These stitchery journals, they're turning into a series. It's like the girls have opened up Pandora's box of ideas, because we've all got these little stitcheries in our cupboards that we've done over the years, and they don't have a home. So these journals of stitchery allow us to not only create a page with something that we may have made 20 years ago, but we can then stitch on top of it, because it's, we're learning new techniques, and we're understanding how to bind things into a spine, and like it's just opened up a whole new world of Nelly storage for our craft room when it comes to stitching. and to have a few journals with some empty pages in it for future projects. It's not a bad thing either, to even make some covers only with the signature of Calico in there, so that when we get a crazy idea or we see something on Pinterest or we watch a video that just sets us off in a whole different direction, you have somewhere to go and put it straight away. So I just think it's lovely, just a brilliant idea. So I'm going to stop waffling on now. I've pretty much got out of my head my thoughts and you're now up to speed, so I'll leave it at that, and I guess my next video will be what I've done and if I've changed my mind or added anything extra. So happy stitching everyone, and for those of you who are new, I hope you love the journey that the girls have put in front of us as much as I do, and happy stitching. Bye.